So let's talk about the first act of this performance. It's often called the love bombing phase. And honestly, it's intoxicating. You feel more seen, more understood, more special than you ever have in your life. It feels amazing. But what you need to know is, this is exactly where the trap is being set.
I mean, you are literally put on a pedestal. You become the absolute center of their universe. The attention is just relentless. We're talking nonstop texts, compliments that make you blush. You genuinely feel like you've met the one. They mirror everything about you, your hopes, your dreams. It's like they're a perfect reflection of everything you've ever wanted in a partner.
But here's the tough part. All that overwhelming attention, it's not really about love. It's a well-known manipulation tactic called love bombing. The whole point isn't to build a real connection. It's to gain control and get you hooked, to make you dependent on that validation, on that emotional high they're giving you.
And experts who study this stuff have mapped out this really predictable, totally dizzying three-phase cycle. First, there's idealization. That's the love bombing part, where you're perfect. Then it flips to devaluation, where you're suddenly worthless. And it ends with the discard, where you're just abandoned. Just knowing this pattern exists is a huge first step to taking back your power.
Okay, so after that incredible high, things start to change. The mask starts to slip. This is when the relationship slides into that second phase we just talked about, devaluation. And this is where that beautiful dream begins to twist into something really confusing and really painful.
And what this does to your head is just intense. It creates something called cognitive dissonance. You're trying to square these two completely different people in your mind. The charming, wonderful person you fell for, and this new, cold, indifferent, sometimes cruel person. You're left constantly wondering, wait, which one is the real them?
This is also when they pull out a whole arsenal of manipulation tactics. And these aren't just random fights or disagreements. We're talking about specific, calculated strategies. Things like gaslighting, triangulation, the silent treatment, all designed to just chip away at your self-worth, your identity, and even your own sense of what's real.
Let's zoom in on gaslighting for a second, because it is so damaging. It's basically when someone messes with your head so much that you start to question your own sanity. They'll flat out deny things that happened, tell you you're crazy or too sensitive. The goal? To make you stop trusting your own memory, your own perception.
This quote says it all. It's a potent cocktail of poison and remedy. And that is exactly why it's so hard to leave. The abuse isn't 24/7. It's sprinkled with just enough of that old charm, just enough kindness to keep you hoping things will go back to the way they were. It's a classic technique called intermittent reinforcement, and it creates this incredibly powerful, almost addictive bond.
And all of this leads us to the psychological trap of it all. This is the part that explains why leaving is just so hard. And it's not just about emotions or willpower. There are actual, powerful biological things happening in your brain that make it feel almost impossible to walk away.
You hear it all the time, right? If it's so bad, why don't they just leave? But honestly, that question totally misses the point. The answer has zero to do with strength or weakness. It has everything to do with what trauma does to the human brain and how our survival instincts kick in.
So what can feel like an intense love is often something else entirely. It's a powerful survival mechanism known as a trauma bond. It's this deep emotional attachment that's literally formed by the cycle of abuse and kindness. You become loyal to the very person who is the source of both your pain and your comfort. And that makes leaving feel, well, unthinkable. And get this, it's not just in your head, it's literally in your body's chemistry. That whole up and down cycle, it creates dopamine hits in your brain, kind of like a slot machine addiction. You keep pulling the lever, hoping for a win. Then you have oxytocin, the love hormone, which bonds you to them during moments of intimacy. And all the while, cortisol and adrenaline from the fear are hardwiring these traumatic memories into your brain. This explains so much. It's why so many people who get out of these situations talk about feeling like they were in a fog. The trauma actually affects the part of your brain that handles planning and making decisions, the prefrontal cortex. So it's not that you can't think clearly, it's that your brain has literally switched over into pure survival mode. But listen, this is the most important part of this whole conversation. Breaking the cycle is possible. There is absolutely a path forward. It's about moving from being a victim to becoming a survivor. And it starts with taking small, intentional steps to get your power back.
So what are those first steps? Well, first, you've got to create safety. That means going no contact if you can. It's the only way to break that chemical addiction in your brain. Next,
Validate your own reality. Write down what happened. It's a powerful way to fight back against all the gaslighting. And please, build a support system. Reconnect with people who believe you. And if you can, find a professional, a therapist who really gets trauma and abuse. They can be an incredible guide.
Because at the end of the day, here's what it all comes down to. The whole point of this kind of abuse is to make you believe you're worthless. So what is recovery? It's the journey of remembering, reclaiming, and finally owning the worth that was yours all along. They never took it, they just tried to make you forget you had it.
And when we talk about what comes next, what does it even mean to thrive after something like this? Well, it's not about just surviving or just getting by. It's about taking all those broken pieces and building something new, something stronger. You're not rebuilding from the memory of the pain. You're rebuilding from the light of the strength it took you to get through it.
And this right here, this is the final thought I want to leave you with. The abuser's power? It was never real. It was an illusion they built by borrowing your light, your empathy. The real power, the kind that lasts, belongs to the person who walks through that fire and comes out the other side. That's the power of a warrior. And that power? It was always and will always be yours.